What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Tuesday, January 9th, 2024, and we are back with another midday live stream. And as y'all can see by the title, we are going to be going over the Jonathan Majors interview that was on ABC. It's his first public interview that he has done since his trial back in December, in which, of course, he was found guilty on 2 misdemeanor charges. Apparently next month they're going to be doing the sentencing, which I truly believe he will not. In my opinion, I don't think he's going to do any jail time behind it. So I don't know exactly what the sentencing is going to be. But before we go ahead and get into all of that, shout out to everybody who is here so far. It says I have 44 people. Shout out to all 44 of you that are watching right now. Shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon, all of my members, people on Instagram. And by the way, I am multi-streaming on Instagram as well as on YouTube. So shout out to everybody who is watching over on Instagram. I finally figured out how to mute that tab because the last time I was having some issues. But let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far. We have John Guillory, Sharon, Vlad, Determined Hustle, Denise, Iron Will, Eric H, King, Killmonger 74, OT Lungs, Lady Messenger, Savion Draco 0, Yo-Yo 103, Queenan, Suburbia Jones, Cosima Fury, Scoop 2003, Derek Parker, Miriam R. Dewani, Antoine Ball, and Lay the Great One. Shout out to everybody who was here so far. And like I said to y'all, and I think I had put it on my community tab as well as on Twitter. If y'all follow me on there, I think that YouTube has done that thing again with my channel. I'm not going to say the actual word on here. Some of y'all may know what I'm talking about and probably will type it in the chat. But if you know, you know. The reason why I know this is because the numbers have been off for like the last couple of days, almost the last week for the most part. And I know when my numbers are supposed to be, and when I'm looking at them where they're at right now, even for the midday stream, I know something is definitely off, but we're going to push through it because I'm not new to this. It's just probably that time of the quarter again. For me, like I said, it happens quarterly, but it is what it is. But before we actually get into this, I'm going to ask the audience who is in here a couple of questions. The first question I'm going to ask is, how many of you have seen the interview yet? Put a 1 in the chat if you have seen the interview, and I mean the full interview, not just the clips, because a lot of people only seen the clips. But how many people have seen the full interview? The full interview is almost 20 minutes long. And put a 2 in the chat if you have not seen anything yet. Like what I'm going to go over today is going to be your first time watching it, even though it aired last night. So Nanook 55 said 1, Herbert Scott said 1, Suburbia said 1, and it's a lot of 2s. Okay, so I'm not surprised by the 2s that are coming in, because a lot of people probably didn't know that it was on. They probably heard about it, but y'all only saw the clips. The clips aired in the morning, but they aired in prime time the entire interview. Now I'm gonna ask y'all another question. How many of you followed the case? How many of you been following this case since the inception? Put a 1 in the chat if you have, and put a 2 if you have not. And I'm gonna be honest right now. I do not have a crystal ball. I have a feeling I'm gonna see a lot of 2s. I have a feeling a lot of people did not follow this case and only got on when they heard the verdict. I'll be shocked, if I have more 1s than 2s. So if you have been following the case since its inception, you know that this outcome is some BS. Okay, y'all proved me wrong. So it's a mixture in here. So I'm seeing some 1s and some 2s when it comes to people who actually followed the case, from where it started to where it is, where it was, because the case is over. Okay, truly yours said they only heard the verdict. Okay, fine. Well, this interview is going to kind of put into perspective a little bit for you how everything came out and how pretty much, if you think about it, he got railroaded. It should not have gotten to this point, but I don't want to spoil you about it. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into it. And thankfully, abcnews.com or whatever the website is actually has the full interview. So I don't have to go on to YouTube to retrieve it because YouTube be tripping sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to enlarge the video. As you can see, like I said, the whole interview is about 17 minutes and 17 seconds long, and it aired on prime time last night. So we're gonna go ahead now and get into it. And this is gonna be one of those stop and goes type of things because it might be some things, and that's why I was asking anybody who followed the trial, because it might be some things that's gonna come up in this that is gonna sound foreign to you, and you're like, okay, I don't understand what's going on. And so I'm gonna give you some additional context behind what's going on.
He was on his way to becoming one of Hollywood's brightest stars, with acclaim for his dramatic performances and a promising future as a Marvel villain. But now actor Jonathan Majors is facing the possibility of up to a year in jail after a conviction on misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment in connection with an altercation involving his then girlfriend.
Let me pause it right there. The fact that he could even face time in jail for something like that is an issue. Who do you know actually faces jail time for the charge that he was found guilty of, which he should not have been found guilty of? I told people when I heard this verdict, I said they did that because they had to find him guilty of something. I said that repeatedly. I said they had to find him guilty of something because they were not going to allow him to just walk away from this. Because remember when all the allegations, when all of this first happened back in March, you had a drove of people who went to school with him saying how he had this bad temper, he was abusive, and it was a whole bunch of people. Where are they now? Oh, I know. They're nowhere to be found. You know why? Because as far as they're concerned, they already got him. If Jonathan Majors was completely found guilty of everything, those people who came out and said he allegedly did these things when he was in college would have came out like how those women did with Bill Cosby, stack on the accusation to make him seem more of a tyrant than what they are putting him out there to be.
He sat down exclusively with me for his first interview since his arrest, discussing the relationship at the center of the trial, the role that he says race played, and why he didn't take the stand. Why did you decide you wanted to talk now?
I felt like it was time. A lot has happened in my personal life, in my career, in the culture, and conversely, the impact of this. It's about responsibility and coming forward and being brave and giving my part of the story.
In an ABC News exclusive, actor Jonathan Majors sat down with me in his first interview since a jury handed down a guilty verdict for reckless harassment, a misdemeanor, and a violation of harassment in the second degree.
I haven't seen my daughter in a long time, and
I don't know if y'all just heard what he just said, but he said he hasn't seen his daughter in a long time. Basically, ever since this thing has started to happen, they did not allow him to have any contact with his daughter. For those of y'all who are unaware, Jonathan Majors does have a daughter. I think she's 9. So she's not Grace Jabari's daughter. This is from a previous relationship from clearly 9 years ago.
A lot of it has to do with this situation. It all has to do with this situation. And she needs to see this. And the hard things need to be done. But it's been hard. Everything's kind of gone away.
The 34-year-old actor was a rising star.
It's our family story.
Known for his roles in HBO's Lovecraft Country, Creed 3.
I'm coming for everything.
And Marvel productions like last year's Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
You're an interesting man. Scott Lang.
And it was on that movie set back in 2021 where he met 30-year-old British dancer Grace Jabari. The pair dated until March of 2023 when Majors called 911 the day after a fight that was caught on surveillance video.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious. She's my ex-partner. We broke up. I came back.
Now listen to that right there. He said that she was his ex-partner. So they were not in a relationship at this time when this happened. They were already broken up. Because the way that they framed it as him and her were still dating, but they were not. They were not together. As far as I'm concerned, they were just distant acquaintances. And I had said before, I said Jonathan Majors been checked out of that so-called relationship. Why he would go back, I'm not entirely sure.
She sent me text messages insinuating as much. I stayed in a hotel last night. I came home this morning.
Police found Jabari on the closet floor of their apartment. Majors was arrested by New York City police, accused by Jabari of assault, strangulation, and harassment. Convicted last month, but acquitted of 1 count of assault and 1 count of aggravated harassment, meaning the jury didn't believe he assaulted her intentionally. Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock.
Jonathan Majors. Okay, this is the part right here that I have to kind of critique him right quick. If you understand the system that you live in, when you look at the optics of this case in this situation as a whole, this should not shock you. However, if you were found not guilty of everything, then yeah, you could say that shocked you. That would have shocked me. That would have shocked everybody watching this stream right now, or people who was watching this unfold. Hell, if this thing didn't even go to trial, it would have really shocked us because we already know how this system works. I always say this: Black people, we cannot afford to live in la la land. I don't care if you are in Hollywood. We cannot afford it. We have to live in reality. Those other groups, they can do it because they benefit one way or another. We don't.
I was absolutely shocked and afraid. I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
After the verdict, in a statement, Jabari's attorney wrote in part, "Justice was finally served today, proving that the truth can prevail even in the face of power. Grace did not choose to be in this situation. Grace has been publicly attacked as a result of her courage to testify to the truth, but her unwavering resolve to see this case through to the end was born out of her desire to give other survivors similar courage when justice required."
This Brittany Henderson is giving me Karen vibes. I just swear, I promise it is. And notice when in the quote from this Brittany Henderson, who was Grace Jabari's attorney, mentioned something about power. Again, where is all this power that these Black men have that they allegedly said that is there? They tried to do that with Bill Cosby, and look at where that got him. If Bill Cosby had all the power that they claim he did, he would have been cleared of everything. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't have even been a story. So what power does Jonathan Majors have, whose career is not even a fraction of Bill Cosby's? But see, that's when you start dealing with these third wave feminists who like to talk about the patriarchy. She sounds like one of those.
The prosecution has described your relationship with Grace Jabari as tumultuous and abusive. How would you describe that 2-year relationship?
I loved Grace. Our relationship was, it was not healthy, and that began to reveal itself over time, but there was no abuse.
In court, Jabari claimed she sustained head injuries, but never said how she received them. Entered into evidence these partially redacted text messages from September of 2020.
Now, that should tell you something. It said that she got the injuries, but she never told how she got them. Again, Operation Protect the White Boy PC Woman Edition in full effect at play here.
22. Majors writes, "It's just fake. And I fear you have no perspective of what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions. And as I don't think you actually to protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something. Jabari responds in part, I will tell the doctor I bumped my head. If I go, I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger painkillers. That's all. Why would I want to tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you?
This is literally a nightmare. I don't know what happened. I don't know what injuries you're talking about.
The July incident, 2022, where she says you started throwing things, including a candle. Tell us.
Now, see what they did here. Now they're bringing up something that happened in July where he said he threw a candle, but really, I'm gonna let like say, but he really didn't throw the candle. It was something else. What they're doing is, because remember, I told you they don't have a case. So what they did was they had to reach back to separate incidents that did have nothing to do with what happened in March, and then try to use that as a way to sway the jury and say, you know what, this guy might have some abusive tendencies. I mean, after all, we have stuff from this point, again, has nothing to do with the case. And then they're going to go and start talking about the September thing as well. And I got something to really say about that.
What happened there?
You know, we were in an argument. I was on the other side of the room, away from her, as I think she testified. And by my bedside table, I did a sweep, and I knocked over my candles. I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. What she also said is that afterwards I wept and cried in the corner and said I'm sorry and this. And I was, and I am.
The prosecution said you allegedly wrote, I'm a monster, a horrible man, not capable of love. I'm killing myself soon. I've already put things in motion. Were you suicidal?
I've been diagnosed with severe depression, you know, and I'm taking the steps needed to alleviate, you know, some of those symptoms.
So you heard it right there. He just said that he's been diagnosed with severe depression. But remember, in America, in a system of Dub S, if you are a black person and you say you are suffering from mental illness, it don't mean a damn thing to the price of tea in China. But you got all these mass shooters out here, and the first thing they want to say, oh, they got a mental illness. And they actually are taking people out. And the first thing they want to lead with, oh, they had a mental health issue. They had a bad upbringing. You know the usual.
Ideations of removing myself from situations permanently is a thought that I've had, since I was a kid.
It all came to a head in March of last year when Jabari and Majors got into a fight, much of it captured on surveillance video and used as evidence in the trial. Jabari testified that it all began when Majors received a text.
Now look at this drawing of her just trying to push out them crocodile tears. Typical PC woman tactic.
From another woman. He says it read, oh, how I wish to be kissing you. So let's go back to March 25th for a moment. You and then girlfriend Grace Jabari are in the backseat of a chauffeured car. She sees a text from another woman. Things seem to spiral from there.
I'm going to stand firmly on this. I've been saying this from day one. They haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm saying I truly believe the woman that he was texting was Megan Good. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the woman he was texting was Megan Good. Put a 2 if you think otherwise.
What happened next?
Yeah, the text from another woman. Again, I said at the beginning, I did that.
Now, keep in mind, in the beginning, he didn't bring it up again here, and which he did. They were not together. He said it at the beginning of this interview. He said his ex-partner, again, when he made that 911 call, they were not together. So the fact that this woman got mad and you're broken up, apparently she probably didn't get the memo that they were broken up, and or maybe she did, but she wasn't trying to let it go.
I cop to it. I show her, right? It's in my hand. She grabs it. We scuffle for the phone. I pull the phone back. I receive my injuries. I open the door. I step out. She comes. Then one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I pick her up. I put her back in the car. I'm trying to get rid of her. I'm trying to get away from her. As the video shows, you know, everything calms. We get out. We walk across the street. I escort her across the street. The moment we get across the street, she grabs me.
Now you ask me, does this look like a person that's in an abusive relationship? How is it your abuser is running down the street, your so-called abuser, but you're running behind them? Wouldn't you be trying to get away from them? I mean, like, that's the obvious question that should be asked here. I'm just saying.
She goes for the phone. I get free of her and I run.
For blocks?
Yeah, for blocks.
Surveillance video also shows Jabari talking to three strangers. She testified they offered to get her home. One of the bystanders can be seen speaking to Majors, who gestures for Jabari to get back into the car. He eventually leaves without her and goes to a hotel for the night. Jabari leaves with the bystanders. She says inside the car, you hit her in the face,
Yeah.
twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
What happened?
She went to grab the phone. I held the phone. I pulled the phone back. She came on top of me, squeezed my face, slapped me. That's all I remember.
So she ends up with a 1-inch cut behind her ear.
Laceration, yes, ma'am.
Fractured finger.
Yeah.
How did those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't.
I have no question.
What's interesting about the jury.
I got a question for those in the chat, because I actually believe he did not put that laceration behind her ear. Where do y'all think that came from? Like, if you just had to guess, if you had to give a hypothesis, where do you think that cut behind her ear came from?
Jury's verdict, it's so nuanced because they're saying you didn't intend to injure her, but the result of your recklessness injured her. Were you reckless?
I was reckless with her heart.
Not with her body.
Not with her body.
But never hit a woman.
Never hit a woman. My hands have never struck a woman, ever. When the actual testimony came, the driver said, she did everything, meaning Grace. He did nothing, referring to myself.
Majors claims Jabari attacked him, ripping his coat, scratching his face and arm. These are photos he says are of his injuries, but were deemed inadmissible in court.
Now listen to that. Now, did y'all see that? So you saw a picture of the cut that he had on his face and the scratch on his arm. They said they deemed these images inadmissible in court. Again, they made it appear to be only one-sided, like the injury she had was sustained from him. But again, question mark in the air. We don't know where her injuries came from, but we can clearly look at his injuries and know they came from her. But they said, nah, we're not going to allow that as evidence.
My injuries were a scratch on my hand, you know, from clawing for the phone. And I had a gash on my, at the time I had a beard. Under my beard, I had essentially a fingernail scratch.
All he would have to do was a DNA test, like, you know, like, because that means that that some of his skin will be under her fingernails, and that would definitely show that it came from her.
On my, I think it's my cheek, from pressure, you know.
You chose not to take the witness stand. Why?
Yes, the driver.
You felt that was compelling enough. He had said enough.
Well, not just the driver. You know, she was doing everything, he was doing nothing. Well, that's what I was going to say. Mr. Majors, did you see any injuries on her? No, I didn't. Clinical experts, the detectives I spoke to, all who testified before I did. But after all of that.
So y'all just heard her ask the question of why he didn't take the stand, because that's a question a lot of people have been asking. Why didn't he testify? And he said that he feels that the driver testimony was enough to clear him, because if he got up there and said something, it would have worked against him. So let's have a person who was there. Of course, the only other witness would have been the driver. Let them give their take, because then it won't seem like it's coming off a particular way. But unfortunately, that still didn't work in his favor.
What was I going to add?
Jonathan, how do you feel right
During
now?
the trial, an audio recording was presented in court by the prosecution of Jonathan Majors and Grace Jabari during an argument.
How dare you come home drunk and disturb the peace of our house? Coretta
Now, here's the part right here that got a lot of people riled up. This part right here.
Scott King. You know who that is? That's Martin Luther King's wife. Michelle Obama. Barack Obama's wife. My temper, my shit, my travel, blah, all that said, right? And I'm not saying I'm a great man. A great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially.
Now, let me just put let me let him
In the black
explain it right quick before I say what I got to say.
Community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama? Give us like the context of the conversation.
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be. You know, these great men, Martin, President Obama, and trying to give a reference point to that. I was attempting, and I did a terrible job at it, apparently. I was attempting to motivate, to enlighten, to give perspective.
Okay, so he just told it right there. He was using it as an analogy. Of course, when a lot of us heard it, took it as, why would you ask this or even request that this woman who's clearly PC to act and behave like a Coretta Scott King or a Michelle Obama? Why didn't you say like a Princess Diana or maybe another classy white woman that's been helmed up as presenting herself as, having some decorum? Initially, I was on the same train as a lot of other people. Like, why would you even use that as a comparison like that? But then when I sat back and looked at it, I said, I understood now what he meant. I probably would not have used them as an example, considering who she is, because she's definitely not any of them. Now, if I wanted to compare her to a black woman based on how her lifestyle is, maybe a Sexy Red. That's probably the best way, based on how she is. But another thing that people also have to understand is that she secretly and unknowingly recorded this conversation that they were having in Paris the year before, in September 2022. And they allowed this to be used in court for a case that had nothing to do with the current situation. Let that sink in. Just like Cat Williams said in that interview with Shannon Sharp, what do you think a plant is? Why were you recording this conversation? He didn't know. And now it was used against him when it should not have even been allowed in the case, but they used it anyway. Again, going back to what I initially said, they had no case. So they had to do everything they could to dirty him up so they could get him on something. In case y'all are unaware, even though it came down to 4 charges against Jonathan Majors and he was found guilty of 2, initially he had about 8 charges, I think, against him, but 4 of them got dropped. because there wasn't enough evidence to prove any of the other charges.
As into what it is I was hoping to get out of the relationship. I think that's fair.
In her closing argument, your attorney said that your greatest fear of being a black man in America calling 911 came true, suggesting that race was a part of this. Do you feel that race is a part of this?
I mean, yeah, of course it is, you know, like.
I'm shocked he even said that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually surprised they even asked that question and that he actually gave that as a response, because he could have gave a complete politically correct response.
Without question. I mean, that quote unquote guilty verdict, you know, well, guilty verdict, no quote unquote, you know, like, you might as well put that on my birth certificate.
You think a white man facing the same allegations would have been arrested, charged, convicted?
I'll take it further. If you watch those videos and you reverse that, and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed in the streets of New York City. That black man will feel that.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
Oh God! And here we go. And this is where I have to pause it right quick. Not for what he just said. Alvin Bragg. To those who are in my chat right now who are from New York, because I see one that's in here from New York, knows I have a loathsome disdain toward Alvin Bragg. And before I address that, shout out to Jay Cage for the $5 super chat. He says he did good overall in the interview, but this brother is lost in the sauce. Also compare this to Johnny Depp's situation with Amber Turd. Right. And Disney fumbled the bag with that one in a major way, no pun intended. But thank you for the super chat. Alvin Bragg has got to be one of the most corrupt district attorneys right now. I can't speak for anyone else right now because I haven't seen anybody else really move like that. But ever since Alvin Bragg got into that spot, he has been trash. If y'all don't remember, Alvin Bragg was not going to charge Maya Ponsetto, as they called her, the Soho Karen, after she did what she did when she tackled that little black boy for allegedly stealing her iPhone the whole time it was in the backseat of her Uber. Alvin Bragg is also the same DA who was about to severely undercharge Daniel Penny for what he did to Jordan Neely last year on that train. So when you think about the movements of Alvin Bragg and you put it with this, it makes sense. Alvin Bragg is the reason why this whole trial even happened. You can go look at the transcripts. All Alvin Bragg is trying to do is get a re-election or maybe get a promotion. And he would throw any black person under the bus to get it.
Office responded, saying in part that they do their speaking in court. Jabari's attorney responded to this interview saying, "It is not at all surprising that Mr. Majors continues to take no accountability for his actions. His denigration of our jury system is not dissimilar from the above-the-law attitude that he has maintained throughout this legal process. The timing of these new statements demonstrates a clear lack of remorse for the actions for which he was found guilty and should make the sentencing decisions fairly easy for the court. Ms. Jabari will continue to speak the truth and seek justice in the appropriate forums in a continued effort to respect our legal."
Again, another quote from the attorney for Rich Jabari, basically saying that he's not taking accountability for his actions and all this, that, and the third. Well, why doesn't your client take accountability for her actions? Let's not act and pretend like Grace is some delicate dandelion, some little angel that had no part to play in any of this. Exactly, John Guillory. She said above the law. How is he above the law if he was found guilty on 2 bogus misdemeanor charges? Exactly, Chris. Now she can file a civil suit because he was found guilty of 2 of those charges.
Process. Grace, as you know, was arrested and charged for assault, but will not face prosecution.
Right.
You have thoughts on that?
That's hurtful. That's really hurtful. And why is it hurtful? Because, again, I know what happened. Movies don't matter. Work don't matter. Yale education doesn't matter. In that moment, what I felt was, oh, I'm nothing.
He's expendable. I'll add that in. If they can find a way to replace him, they will. Why do you think all of these alleged so-called publications were talking about, recasting him as Kang the Conqueror in the MCU movies? But I like that he said this, the movies and stuff don't matter and everything like that. For me, what I gathered from him saying that is him trying to put the pieces of his now fractured reputation back together. Because let's be real here. Even if Jonathan Majors was found not guilty across the board, his reputation took a hit. The image that a lot of people saw of him prior to that night is now completely depleted. Now, I'm not going to say completely, but a lot of people are probably going to look at it with the side eye, even when you have a lot of facts come out that could work in his favor. Oh, yes, Antoinette, replace.
At trial, Major's girlfriend, actress Megan Good, was right by his side. She was also present for our conversation. You've mentioned Megan a few times. Yeah. We've seen her right by your side going in and out of court throughout the whole trial.
Yeah.
How would you describe your relationship?
It's a miracle. She's an angel. She's held me down like a Coretta, you know?
He loved going back to that Coretta reference.
I'm so blessed to have her, you know. The relationship is still fresh, but, you know, I think I found her. Yeah.
The one.
I hope she just stick with me.
Major's career as a rising Hollywood actor is now in limbo. Future appearances playing Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe have been scrapped. You hear the verdict.
Yeah.
The same day Marvel drops you. Your reaction?
Same hour. Same half hour, I think. It's like the world stopped. You know?
Let me just say right now, I'm seeing people mentioning Coleman Domingo's name in there. Nothing has been confirmed that he will be the one to replace him. There's been rumors and talks that he allegedly met with some people, but those are all just rumors. Until Marvel posts something with concrete that, he signed on the dotted line and the ink dried, don't believe it.
It's like you work so hard for things and then, it's done, you know? And in that same breath, I thought, man, that was cool.
How so?
I was a supervillain, and I got to play multiple characters, with a group of people that really cared nothing about anything else except making really cool movies.
Thank you, Denise, for the $5 super chat.
whatever they need to tell those stories. And I'm so proud of it.
You think you'll ever work in Hollywood again?
Yeah, I do. I pray I do. But it's God's plan and God's timing.
For those who say, look, he's convicted at this point, what would you say? I mean, do you deserve a second chance?
Well, I think I do. I think I think I do. I hope other people think that.
Majors is set to be sentenced next month, but says he and his legal team plan to appeal.
All right, y'all. So that is the entire interview right there. So they said that he and his team definitely plan to appeal next month, which definitely they for sure definitely should. And hopefully that appeal was being worked on for quite some time. But I'm going to, of course, drop the link and let y'all come up for anybody who would like to come up and speak about what about what y'all heard. Probably keep it open for about 20 minutes or so. If anybody would like to come up and speak their piece about what y'all watched, because like I said, a lot of y'all, this is your first time watching this or seeing this, y'all can go ahead and come up and we will go ahead and discuss. And shout out to the people who are over on Instagram as well, who are watching this too. But I'm going to go ahead and end the live right over here. Because nobody can really come over. Well, no one can really chat in the StreamYard from Instagram. So if y'all are watching over on Instagram and want to come over and watch, or not watch, but come up on the panel and discuss the interview, you can feel free to do so. All right. Should have known. What's going on, Wallow J?
Haven't claimed my title, Torian. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, the interview, I thought he did well, but there was certain parts I just...
Go ahead.
I'll never understand why he...
Hold up. Wallow J, you kind of like... you kind of went mute for a little bit, so start over because I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so it like most, like you said, I kind of agree with you. He did well, and then some parts made me cringe. The part that made me cringe most was when he told Jabari basically she needs to act like like Coretta and Michelle, and I was like, why would you tell a white woman to act like a black woman? Not in that type of way, but you know what I'm saying. In general,
yeah. Like I said, I understand why especially a lot of black people felt that way, or like because like why would you compare her? Because I think what it is a lot of black people when they first heard it, he was trying to compare this white woman to a black woman without dissecting. He wasn't talking about acting like a black woman, but acting or having the behavior of what he deemed as a classy woman. But he should have just said he should have said a respectable woman, and not have mentioned or gave an example where the examples and two of those examples happen to be black women. He could have just left it as act like a classy woman, someone with some decorum, someone who was respectable, and not someone out here, as Rob said on his channel, acting like a party girl.
Yeah, basically, you know that Michelle Obama line, not correct. Well, Coretta too, but that Obama, he could basically told her she act like Michelle. Oh, you know, PC got they feelings on that.
Yeah, and it probably pissed her off too, because it's like, why are you like telling me to act like a black woman? And then, like I said, I keep saying to myself, and I'm gonna stand firmly on this. I truly believe that Megan Good was the woman he texted in that phone.
I do too.
Which probably pissed her off.
Oh yeah, so Megan Good is a way. I kind of have my reserves on Megan Good for her leaving her husband, but at the end of the day, it is what that. I think they was out to get him because you can't have too many successful black actors. They can't get Michael B. Jordan like that, because Michael B. Jordan is probably the top black. I would say probably the top black actor right now in Hollywood. So when you saw Jonathan Majors starting to rise, they were like, we gotta get him on something because he can't have two of them. But the way he was going up.
Yeah, and you know he had just came out with Creed 3,
Yep.
like literally like the week before. And you know you have Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors in both of those movies, and he just came off of doing Ant-Man, which came out like a couple weeks before. Like he was on an up and up trajectory, like doing like major, no pun intended, things.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. And they were like, yeah, we got to get him because we're gonna have too many more successful black actors out here, and that it ain't gonna be good for us. You already know they're complaining about these roles out here for them.
Right.
But I'm gonna go ahead and get off Torian. B1, I'm out.
All right, no problem. Appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Wallow J. Next up, we got AW1. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Tori, how you been, man?
I've been good.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, because I was listening to Juan. He gave his opinion about this. He don't think it's real. Let me ask you: do you think they're really together? Him and Megan Good?
You think that it's like a stage type of relationship?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible. I guess I want to believe it is real. I mean, look, it's Megan Good. Look at her, even though with the implants and stuff.
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that it isn't. I don't want to say that it isn't.
I got you. That's fair. Don't want to put words in your mouth, Tori. Nah, I mean, I feel where you come from. But anyway, but like back to this. I mean, it's like he should. I mean, he understands racism.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be surprised about that verdict, in my opinion. It's like you did everything right. He did not hit her. It's on video, and he ran away from her and got a separate hotel to stay away from her, and she continued to follow him. And then on top of that, there was a video where they found him in his closet. Now, all that stuff that happened. Imagine if he would have did all of that, or even one of that. He either would have been shot or would have been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is protect the, like you said, your phrase, protect the white girl. You should say that more often. Because like,
and another thing another thing they also left out too is her leaving the U.S. to go back to her home, which because you know she's not from here. You know,
she's not American. Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
She's not American. She's from London, I think. Remember a couple months ago when they was trying to, like, I think it was back in August when they were trying to start the trial then, but they couldn't do it because they said she fled. Like she went to London. Like
that's why she okay.
Yeah, like she went to London. I said, why didn't anybody question why she left and was gone? And on top of that, she was gone for a while. Like she was gone for like a good month. Like it's like, why didn't anybody say anything then?
Exactly. I agree with you.
I was like, why wasn't that brought up? Yeah, I was like, why wasn't that brought up? Because I said that to me was very suspicious.
I agree with you. And I'll say this. Why was the evidence not allowed when she assaulted him and did all that stuff?
Exactly. Like I said, all roads lead back to Alvin Bragg. I keep telling people, I said that.
Yeah, he's a piece of crap. And all that stuff, and all those examples you brought up. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that guy either. My brother brought him up the other day. He's like, oh, him and his wife was like, oh man. It's like, oh, I mean, man, how does he get away with what he does? Tell me, Tori, and then I'm gonna land my plane.
I'm telling you because like he's on the string. Like I told you, I think he's either trying, like pushing so he could be reelected, or he's trying to get a promotion.
And he's sacrificing us to do that.
Yeah, I just gave 3 examples. I said
you gave. Oh, I didn't know about. I didn't know about that so-called Karen. I didn't know he was part of that. Yeah, but that makes sense.
And here's the thing. That was early on in his career. Because if I'm not mistaken, and someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, I think Alvin Bragg became the DA in like 2020.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2021. So
and she assaulted a teenage boy. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he was only like 14, I think, at the time.
Right, and talk about self-accountability, but you let that yak get off for assaulting a young boy. But since he's black, I guess it's all good. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna let my Plantorian. You just keep dropping these hammers, man. You doing it, man.
No
But
problem. Appreciate you coming up.
yeah, salute you and I love you. All right.
Shout out to AW1. Next up, we got Trini Girl. What's going on?
Can you hear me? I guess you can.
I can hear you.
Okay, real quick. I'm not sure when this interview happened on ABC. Is it possible that the Cat Williams?
It was last night. The interview was last night.
Right, and I'm thinking it could be perfect timing that he came out. Majors came out now, after that Cat Williams podcast, dropping truth bombs on Hollywood and how they do people wrong. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not entirely sure if that was planned or if it was just coincidence. I think they might have always had this slot because usually they always plan this stuff out in advance. And the thing is, too, this wasn't a live interview. This was a pre-recorded interview. This is that we're seeing it for the first time. So we don't know when this interview was recorded. Right. For all we know, this could have been recorded maybe, say, a week after the trial, which, of course, meant that it happened before Cat Williams' interview with Shannon Sharpe came out in the beginning of the year. So I'm not entirely sure when this interview was even conducted, or it could just be a coincidence that the one with Cat Williams and Shannon Sharpe came out first, and then you have this one that came out right after it. But what I do find to be interesting is these two things. One, this interview was conducted on ABC. As we know, ABC is owned by Disney, and he was working with Marvel, and Marvel is owned by Disney. He also had a movie that was supposed to come out called Magazine Dreams that was released under a studio that's also owned by Disney. So, and then on top of that, this is a month before his sentencing, quote unquote, because the sentencing is supposed to be, I think, the 6th of February. So that, to me, is like something that's more interesting more than anything else. Is that, okay, I thought she was let go by Disney or whatever the case may be, but it's a lot of reports going out there. And then, of course, you get interviewed by ABC, which is an affiliate of Disney.
Right. Okay, that's all I wanted to add. B1.
All right, B1. Shout out to Trini Girl for coming up. And next up, and probably the last person of the day, will be Scoop 2003. What's going on?
What's good? What's good with you, man?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. That shouldn't even been a case. That shouldn't even went to trial. The trial
exactly.
For what? The man didn't do nothing wrong. So you telling me he can't defend himself, stand his ground, he run away, and you still take him to trial? Where's the evidence of any wrongdoing on Jonathan Majors' part?
Like I said, when I saw what he was guilty of, and after I had saw the videos, of him being chased down the street by this woman, I said, this doesn't look like a woman who was abused. Like, if you are being abused, why would you run into the direction of your abuser? You're trying to get away from them. And then, like I said before, even before I came on into this live stream, I said they had to find him guilty of something because they were not going to allow him to walk away from this completely unscathed. Why do you think they were bringing up that conversation that she recorded? Mind you, that conversation was from 2022. I think they were in Paris. So it had nothing to do with the current case at hand. So it should not have been allowed. And on top of that, some people were saying in the chat, he didn't know, he was unaware she was recording him. So that should have been even more reason why that shouldn't have been allowed. But I said it all goes back to Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is the reason why this was even a trial to begin with, because his Jonathan Majors team early on was trying to get these charges dropped because they was like, this shouldn't even be going to trial. Now you got to think about the expansion of it all, so to speak. Here you have this man who got found guilty on 3rd-degree misdemeanor charges where the possibility of his punishment could be jail time. Not saying, and I highly doubt he's going to get that. They're going to appeal, but that's why the appeal is going to have to be so good, because it's only a one-time thing. If the appeal does not go through, then they're going to go forward with whatever punishment they're going to give him. But the fact that he could possibly get jail time for 3rd-degree misdemeanor charges,
it's ridiculous.
That's saying a lot. In a year at that, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is. They had that target on his back from the get-go. They knew what they was doing. I knew good and well when they were still proceeding with it, when they were going forward, and they wasn't letting it go. I said, they after this man. They got that target on his back. They're gonna make an example out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I said right at the cusp of when everything is happening. Because I kid you not, between the months of February and March, I saw that man like 3 times on the screen. when he was in Ant-Man, when he was in Creed 3, and then on top of that, when I went to watch I went to see Scream 6 last year because it came out the same month as Creed 3. I kid you not. In the ads before they showed the trailers was that military ad that they pulled. I was like, this guy is everywhere. He's even in ads for movies that he's not even in. But yeah, he was everywhere. And then overnight, when this thing came down, he started getting everything snatched away from him. And I said, people don't question how that happened. Like, how you lose all this stuff overnight like that, literally overnight, within a week. This man was losing deals. He was losing movie contracts, ad endorsements. He got dropped from his agency, like all like in a week.
Yeah, but Ezra Miller still got a career.
But Ezra Miller and Alec Baldwin are still working.
Oh yeah, because they got the complexion for the protection. That's why. You know, when you look like us, they keep you on a fine little leash. You got to do what they say when they say, or else they're gonna throw you to the wolves. And he got thrown to the wolves. Period. You know what I'm saying? The brother. You know what I'm saying? That's why I understand why he said he's shocked. There ain't no, I'm like,
that's the part. That was the one critique that I had, is that he said that he was shocked, and then at the end, when she was asked if, you know, do you think race played a part, and you came out and said yeah, which I'm glad he did. I'm glad he didn't dance around that, because yes, race did play a part in it, and then he even gave an analogy where he reversed it. So he recovered with that, but I had to critique him when he said he was shocked by this. And unfortunately, like I said, we as Black people, no matter where your status is, whether you are like high profile or you're mid or even low, Dub S affects us all as a collective in one way or another. And if you're high profile and you got like a lot of money and status, it's going to hit you even harder because they don't want you to have that.
Oh no, that's like I said, I hate when I hear people say that, oh, it's 2024, it's 2023. I can't believe. What you mean you can't believe it? What world you living in? Because as far as I'm concerned, I've been dealing with racism since day one, since the day I was on this earth, and ain't gonna stop till the day I leave, because it ain't going nowhere. Money don't take it away. Where you live don't take it away. Your status don't take it away. You are Black till the day you die, and you gonna deal with everything that comes with it. So you can turn your back, act oblivious as all you want. They're gonna do you just like they do this brother. They're gonna wake your ass up one day. You're gonna get your wake up call, and you're gonna realize, damn, I'm Black. And they don't see me as nothing else.
Definitely.
But B1, brother, you doing a good job. Keep up the work. You know what I mean? I listen to you every single day.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming up. All right. So I'm going to shut it down right there. Shout out to everybody who came up and contributed and gave their voice and their opinion about this situation. Shout out to everybody who came through. I think we maxed out at like 240. So shout out to the 240 that came in here. Shout out to the people who donated: AB Promotions, J Cage, and Denise and Scoop 2003. Also shout out to the people who watched over on Instagram as well. I was watching some of the comments come in over there too. I don't know what Jonathan Majors has plans to do if I was him, because it's going to be a slow climb back up. I would say maybe do some independent films. It ain't nothing wrong with that. That's what Nate Parker had to do with Birth of a Nation, but we know how that went down. But, you know, do something like that. Who knows, someone might give him a call to put him in a role while he's still hot. But I don't think he's going to dive nose first or head first back into the industry just like that. Not at the drop of a dime. It's going to take a while for sure, definitely. But with that being said, I'm about to head up out of here. Shout out to everybody again who came through, all the members, all the Patreon, the people on Patreon, Twitter, Discord, Instagram. Shout out to all of you for coming through. I greatly appreciate it. We will be back on here tomorrow with the 11 a.m. premiere, which of course will be the official episode 1 of the Black. I'm sorry, I'm stuck in last year of the We Fought Back series. As y'all know, last week was the prologue / introduction. Tomorrow is going to be the first official episode where we talk about the actual first documented slave revolt. Be safe and be one.